Evil twins or doppelgangers have always been interesting to me. They can be some of the most intimidating, most threatening, and scariest villains in media, since they're pretty much what would happen if the hero went down a darker path, was corrupted by an evil force, or had some tragic event that drove them to madness. Or they could just be massive edgelords who turn out to be anti-heroes later on. But we're not here to talk about the latter, as much as I would love to. We're here to talk about the former, and I'd like to thank Renegade Master for letting me be a part of Project M5, a collab project where I and several other video content makers gush about certain parts from the Metroid series to celebrate the series' 35th anniversary. And because I mentioned evil twins / doppelgangers a minute ago, and you all saw the title of this video, y'all know exactly what I'm gonna be talking about for this collab project. So let's talk about her. Meet the SAX, one of Nintendo's scariest, most terrifying antagonists ever made. Why is it so scary? Well, in case those empty, soulless eyes didn't creep you out enough, let me tell you about the X-Parasites. These little gelatinous buggers are more dangerous than they look. Their sole purpose is to infect and kill other life forms, copy their genetic code and memories, which allows them to adapt to many different environments, and blend in unsuspecting populations so they can infect even more life forms and produce more of them. They're so dangerous and horrific that the Chozo, seeing how much of a threat these X-Parasites pose to the entire galaxy, developed the one thing that could stop the X-Parasites, the iconic space sucker itself, the Metroid, to make sure the X-Parasites don't go on a galaxy-wide genocide craze. But then the Metroids have been considered too dangerous to be left alive as well, leaving everyone's favorite space bounty hunter Samus Aran to kill every last one of them, which led to the X-Parasites resurfacing more dangerous than ever before now that the one species designed to destroy them is now extinct. Whoops. And one of those X-Parasites just so happened to take Samus by surprise and infect her, almost killing her in the process if it weren't for a vaccine containing Metroid DNA that made her immune to the X-Parasites. That one X-Parasite that ambushed Samus would later use the infected parts of Samus' suit to become the dreaded SAX, a copy of Samus that has all of her powers, abilities, and memories, but none of the empathy or humanity of the original, making her nothing more than a ruthless, cold-hearted killing machine. Part of why many fans debate on whether Metroid Fusion is a horror game or not is not only due to the infectious and ruthless nature of the X-Parasites, but also SAX's mere existence causing even the most stone-faced players to curl up in a fetal position. From early on into the game, you're basically told to just run if you ever see it. It's even highlighted in yellow to show how important that bit of advice is. So every time it gets quiet and all you hear is footsteps and your own heartbeat, that's how you know you're in the same room as that soulless monster. Seeing the SAX walking around menacingly is bad enough that you pray to any god you can think of that the SAX doesn't find you. But as soon as the SAX does find you, the music shifts into a much more frantic and panic-inducing track, and your anxiety levels go off the charts as you desperately scramble to get as far away from the SAX as possible before it kills you in seconds. And if you think that you can take on the SAX in a fight, at least before the end of the game, then you might as well write down your own suicide note, because I don't know if you noticed, but Samus pretty much lost all of her abilities the moment she was infected by the X-Parasite, meaning she's at her absolute weakest, only having a measly pea shoot of her arm cannon and being extremely vulnerable to cold temperatures as a side effect of the Metroid vaccine. Meanwhile, the SAX has all of Samus' abilities, including the Ice Beam, Super Missiles, and Screw Attack, all of which are guaranteed to kill you in just 2 or 3 hits no matter how many energy tanks you collected. So yeah, like the game told you before, if you see the SAX, just freaking run. Later in the game, things only get worse as you're told that because the X-Parasites reproduce asexually, there isn't just one SAX roaming around the place. There are at the very least 10 SAXs.
Excuse me, what?
10 of those terrifying monsters scattered throughout the space station ready to hunt your ass down, making the encounters with them 100 times scarier because of the possibility of running into one SAX just as you barely managed to escape another SAX being super high. And to think the Galactic Federation generally believes that preserving the X-Parasites to study them in spite of the galactic level threat these things have shown is a good idea.
and there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
In conclusion, the SA-X, as well as the X-Parasites in general, is one of the many factors that makes Metroid Fusion one of the scariest non-horror games out there, combined with the atmosphere and the feeling of isolation the game provides. It has definitely made an impression on many Metroid fans, to the point that even the sound of footsteps is enough to completely traumatize them. And from the looks of it, the newly released Metroid Dread attempted to evoke that same feeling of fear and powerlessness with the Emmy. And as someone who's been playing Dread recently, I can confidently say that they did their job a bit too well. Freaking androids.